Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started with the Stormcast Eternals in Warhammer Age of Sigmar 4th edition using the contents of the first 12 issues of the Stormbringer magazine. Not all of the first 12 issues have Stormcast Eternals models in them, some will contain Cruel Boys miniatures and other armies as well. So this review will talk about the models in issues 1, 3, 8, 10 and 12, and although issue 5 will have a single special edition model for the Stormcast, we'll look at that in a future video when we have a whole unit of those models. Today's video is brought to you by Waterfront News and Lotto, located in Devonport, Tasmania. They stock a wide variety of Games Workshop D&D, Star Wars Wargame and paint products and so much more. You can follow the link in the video's description to check out if they've got something for you today in their store. And so the first model we get in Stormbringer magazine actually comes in issue 1 for the Stormcast Eternals, the Knight Arcanum. This model has 6 health, a 5-inch move, 3+ save, a control score of 2, pretty standard for Stormcast Eternal heroes. And then in combat, even though we are a Wizard 1 keyworded model, we do have a decent combat profile with 3 attacks, hitting and wounding on 3s, Ren 1, damage D3, with the anti-manifestation +1 rend ability. What this means is anytime we attack manifestations with our attacks, we'll actually get +1 rend against them, so it would be Ren 2 against any manifestations. Now, going on to this as well, we have the Indomitable Lore-Seeker's passive ability. The effect of this is we can add one to casting rolls for this unit when it uses a summon ability, so this is bringing out our own manifestations. And we can also add one to banishment rolls for this unit as well, which is trying to remove manifestations off the table. Enemy manifestations cannot pass or end any move within this unit's combat range unless they started that move within the unit's combat range. So unless we engage them, they can't come and engage us. And we also get a 4-up ward if we end up being in combat or in range of any mortal damage inflicted by manifestations. All in all, this is a pretty solid hero and has a very select purpose in what it's going to try and do in your force. Next are the Vindictors, and we get 5 of these in issue 3 of the Stormbringer magazine. Now, these have 2 health each, a 5-inch move, 3+ save, and control score of 1. Their Storm Spear has 2 attacks each, 3s to hit and wound, which is a standard sort of Stormcast profile, Ren 1, damage 1, but also with the anti-charge +1 Ren, so this is similar to the ability we just saw on the Knight Arcanum, but this means if a unit charges us, it is when we get that bonus Rend. Now, any combat phase we can use the Hold the Shield Wall ability, and if this unit did not charge this turn and is in combat with an enemy unit that charged this turn, you roll a dice on a 4+, that unit has strike first for the rest of the turn. So a pretty cool little ability to get us there. We can also have 1 in 5 models being a standard bearer and champion, as well as we have those keywords. So this will allow us to have a couple of command models in the unit. All in all, these are a great unit for holding your line with, just sort of forming up and sort of holding home objectives. They don't really want to be charging themselves. They want to be, receiving the charge, bouncing back any damage that they sort of take, and also, potentially getting these strikes first if they're charged as well, which is nice, and then putting damage on an enemy that might actually try and damage them if they charge them. Next in the Stormbringer magazine, in issue 8, we got the Lord-Imperatant. This is another character model and has 6 health, 5-inch move, 3+ save, control score 2, that standard Stormcast Eternals profile I've already mentioned. Its Blessed Warhammer has 4 attacks, hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s with Ren 1, damage 2, and the crit auto wound ability. What this ability does here is if you ever roll a 6 to hit, you won't need to roll a wound roll, as it will automatically go through onto your opponent's save. This is pretty cool, and if you can spike this, you can get quite a bit of damage through. We have the passive ability here called Loyal Griff-hound. The Griff-hound that you get with your Lord-Imperatant is essentially a token, and while it's on the battlefield, the unit has a ward of 5+. However, if you ever make an unmodified save roll of 1 for this unit, you remove the Griff-hound from the battlefield after the attack has been made, as you've lost your little ward save. Your Griff-hound's protected you for the last time. We also have the once per battle movement phase ability called Guided by Lightning, where you can pick up to 3 friendly Stormcast Eternals units wholly within 12 inches of this unit that were set up using the Signs of the Storm ability. This is our ability that we can take units off the table to begin with and bring them on later in the game, and essentially what we're allowed to do is then each target can move D3 inches, really shortening down those charge ranges. If we can get, a lot of 5s and 6s and get that 3 on the D3s, we would be able to, potentially make 6-inch charges with a lot of our units. Now it does have hero keyword as well, so this does mean that the Lord-Imperatant can also lead units of models. This model is able to take any units it wants, as it's able to take any warrior chambers, which is really nice. And it can also take 0 to 1 units of Griff-hounds as well. And it can also take something interesting as 0 to 1 Stormcast Exemplar, which are a variety of different smaller heroes for your Stormcast, so you can actually have some extra heroes without needing to have extra drops. Next, we have the Stormstrike Chariot, and this model comes in issue 10. Now, the Stormstrike Chariot has 10 health, a 10-inch move, 3+ save, and control score of 2. It is a warrior chamber keyworded model, so this means that it can go in the regiments for the characters we've already got, which is useful. And this will apply to pretty much everything, which is cool. We've got a lot of warrior chamber models, so we're going to be able to form some regiments really easy, and we'll show you a sample list at the end of the video for this. But it's armed with the option of taking the Stormstrike Axe and the Griff Charger's Razor Beaks, and either a Tempestuous Spear or Great Stormbow. I do like the Great Stormbow. It's an 18-inch ranged weapon with 2 attacks, hitting and wounding on 3s with rend 1, damage 1, and the anti-infantry +1 rend and crit 2 hits ability. Now, we've already gone for the anti-abilities and what they sort of do, but crit 2 hits means each time we roll a 6 to hit, we'll actually inflict 2 hits on the enemy rather than just 1, and we do need to make a wound and save roll for each of those. In combat, it has its Stormstrike Axe, as we've already talked about. This is its base weapon. 3 attacks, 3s to hit and wound with rend 1, damage 1, and the charge +1 damage. This is sort of the reverse of some other abilities, meaning it wants to be charging. You get +1 damage to your weapon if you've charged. Griff Charger's Razor Beaks give us 6 attacks at 4s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 1, damage 1, and I have a companion ability. What this does, it essentially stops a lot of buffs working on that particular thing as you're targeting your actual Stormcast, not the mounts. The Tempestuous Spear also adds an extra couple of attacks, though no additional rules. Now, we do have a couple of special rules here, first of them being Xandire Unleashed, which can be used during any charge phase. To declare this, we pick a unit that we've charged into, roll a d3, on a 2+, we inflict some mortal damage. Celestial Blaze is the other one, which if we ever use the Power Through command, we can inflict some mortal damage on the units we do as well, which is really nice in addition to the ability. It's a War Machine keyworded model, it's got Warrior Chamber, as I mentioned, as well. And lastly, in issue 12, we actually got the models for Xandire's Truthseekers. Now, these models have been moved to the Legends range of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. A bunch of the Warhammer Underworlds warbands have, and we'll have a little bit more focusing on this in some future videos coming up on the channel. But these can be used in Warcry and indeed Warhammer Underworlds as well. They're a dedicated warband for Underworlds. Now, they don't actually have any points, but roughly I think the points of these would balance out to fight against the issues 1 to 12 of Cruel Boys, which is pretty cool. Now, we have the models each having 3 health, a 5-inch move, and a 3+ save with control score of 1, though Taros itself is a token, the little bird you get with them. You've got the Stormcaller bow on one of the models. This is going to be on looks at Stormrider, and she has an 18-inch range, 2 attacks, 3s to hit and wound, rend 1, damage 1. But then we also have the Great Hammer, which is going to go on Dora's Giant Fell. He's got Crit Mortal and Anti-Monster +1 to rend there. Now, what Crit Mortal does with weapons is if you roll a 6 to hit, you actually do a point of mortal damage and the attack sequence will end. We've got Truthseeker weapons as well on both looks of Stormrider and Calthea Xandire. They'll both have Crit Mortal on them as well to give us some extra damage. Taros is a token as well, and after setting up this unit, you place Taros next to it. And what you can do is Harrying Aetherwing. During your shooting phase, if any attacks made with the unit Stormcaller bow score a critical hit, you pick an enemy unit targeted by those attacks to be the target, and until the start of your next turn, you place Taros next to them, and while Taros is placed next to them, the enemy cannot use any commands. This is pretty cool as it allows us to potentially disrupt how our opponent plans to play the game. We've also got the champion model, which would be Xandire. We are a warrior chamber unit as well, meaning we can fit into the regiments of both our Knight Arcanum and the Lord-Imperatant as well. Now, something else we're going to need to grab with this is these models that I'm going to talk about don't come in any issues of the Stormbringer magazine, so they're going to be something you need to pick up a little bit later on. And these are the manifestations. Stormcast Eternals do have their own manifestation lore, and there is some generic ones you can pick up as well. These will be a variety of different spells that you get for free in your games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so, moving on to our list, we're going to be playing with Stormcast Eternals, and we've chosen to not go with any of the different battle regiment abilities, as none of them actually give us anything with the models we've got so far. Our first regiment will be having our Lord-Imperatant as the hero, and we've gone for making this model our general and giving it the heroic trait Shock and Awe. What Shock and Awe does is it makes any units that come down from the heavens above, they'll be -1 to hit for the rest of that battle round, which is really nice, enabling us to potentially combine this with the fact he can move units forward, get them into combat, and actually make them harder to hit. For units in his particular regiment, we've gone for the Vindictor's unit, and we've also gone with Xandire's Truthseekers. Our second regiment has our Knight Arcanum as the hero, and we've gone for the artifact of power on this model, the Mirror Shield. The Mirror Shield stops enemy units being able to target us with shooting attacks unless they're within 9 inches of us. We've then got a single unit in this particular model's regiment, which is the Stormstrike Chariot. We hope that this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar using the Stormbringer magazine, and that I was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to use those forces on the table. If you have any other questions at all, please comment down below, and while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server for all future content for the Stormbringer magazine in Warhammer Age of Sigmar.